Since the beginning of 2025, I started a meals series where every 2 weeks we put out this video. This one is actually Meals 19. So there's 19 meals videos in this playlist. I go through some of the meals that I'm making for our family, and this video is actually a little bit special because it is going over the last 2 weeks, which are our very first 2 weeks in our new home. If you're just meeting me, my name is 𝐂𝐻𝐋𝐿, and this is the 𝐂𝐻𝐍𝐊𝐄𝐂𝐓, Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. We have a grocery budget of $135 per person, and we are a two-person family, but now we're living closer to our kiddos, so we can have unexpected family dinners at any time. I'm able to stick to that grocery budget of $270 per month, making a variety of different meals. And I love that I'm being able to take you guys along the way to see some of the interesting new meals I'm making. I normally base our meals off of basic ingredients that we have in our house at all times. And then I mix it up during the seasons based on the produce that's available and if it's warm and cozy or if it's a hot summertime meal. So these videos follow 2 weeks of our life, and then they normally come out about 2 weeks after I get done filming them. So for calendar contents of this, we are talking about the last 2 weeks of September and those first days that we were living in our new house. So we were actually here for a few days without any appliances in the house. Our stove wasn't working for the stove top, but the oven was working, and we were literally just unpacking the very first few days. And I did something I rarely do. I ran to the grocery store and I picked up two things. I got a bag of Caesar salad and I got some chicken strips, which was kind of funny because I just grabbed the brand that I normally buy, which is the Bear brand, and I didn't really look at the container very well. And when we got home and started cooking them and started eating them, we realized that they weren't hot temperature hot, they were hot spicy hot. So I need to do a much better job now that we're in a new area looking for mild or spicy things for the labels, because there are a lot more spicy options here than there were in the western side of Washington. We had been eating a lot of wraps and sandwiches because we didn't have a refrigerator. We were using a cooler and eating at our kiddos' house. So this was the first meal I actually made here in the house using our oven, which is this great 1940s oven and stove that we have here in our house. We are keeping the original oven here in the house, but we did get all new appliances for our refrigerator and dishwasher. If you want to see the rest of the house, we did an empty house tour that is already up on the channel, and you can see all the rooms in our house before we renovate. So for my September grocery haul, I ended up driving about 45 minutes away to be able to go to a big grocery store and to Costco, but I also hit a couple of produce stands along the way, and that September grocery haul is already up on the channel. I went grocery shopping the day after we got the refrigerator delivered. I could stock up on all new groceries in my house. I really believe it's important on the day that I'm grocery shopping, especially because I only do it once a month, that I pick out something easy to have once I get home, because I'm normally a little worn out and then I like to rest a little bit before I start washing all my produce. So this night we used some pitas, or gyros, I call them often, and we made some personal sized pizzas with some mozzarella that I bought and some pizza sauce, and we just had Hawaiian pizzas with Canadian bacon and ham on them. I also got this great big block of mozzarella cheese, which I divided up into portions that were easy for me to hold in my hand or with the in my KitchenAid attachment to shred. So I made sure that I cut up the entire block of cheese and then I put it in the freezer. Mozzarella cheese is one that is easier to shred if it's partially frozen. So I will take out those sections of cheese that I need for meals in the future and then have them defrost for about 45 minutes before I go to shred them. It's really important to me that we're starting to batch cook meals again, so I have not only a meal for dinner time, but easy components to make other meals. So on this night, I was making taco meat, which I made sure to make enough for dinner that night and then a couple other portions that go into the freezer for more taco nights. And with that taco meat, I also made some black beans that I like to cook down, and I put some cumin in there. And then we also made some cheese sauce, which I just made just like I'd be making macaroni and cheese, but then I added some jalapeno to that. I had been seeing on social media people making these Crunchwraps Supremes, and they were using burrito-sized tortillas. I only had a taco size soft tortilla, so that is what I used. I ended up making these into triangles, and it's a little bit hard to explain. I think I might end up making a video on this, but instead of deep frying a corn tortilla and adding it to it, I just snuck a couple of my tortilla chips in there, and we had a really fun, different meal. And our kiddo that's a vegetarian was with us, so we were able to make theirs with no meat. For dinner the next night, we had some pork chops that I had seared on the stovetop, and my stove is working now. And normally we wouldn't have squash 2 nights in a row, but the next night, because we were filming the recipe, we had some stuffed acorn squash. So we ended up having that for dinner that night. So that is made with an Italian sausage, and it has apples and different nuts if you want to add it in the sausage filling, and then it continues to bake in the oven. We have that recipe in our Zero Waste Produce Guide, and we also have a link to this in the blog. I love when the seasons are changing and your meals can swap up. So I think oftentimes we eat kind of the same meals around spring and summertime. And then when we get into that fall, winter season, I love when you're able to bring the new produce items in and make warm and cozy meals. This is also a great way not to get recipe fatigue or get burned out of the things that you make all the time if you kind of divide it up around the seasons. This was another video that we were filming, but I made a ton of chicken enchiladas to teach you how I batch cook them. So that video is going to be coming up very soon. I'm not sure if it comes up before or after this video on the channel, but make sure that you hit subscribe. So I ended up making enough chicken enchiladas, not only for that night for dinner, a whole other tray to put into the freezer to bring out for another dinner, but then I flash froze a whole tray of enchiladas that we can warm up for lunches. So just one night of cooking, one night of dishes, I'm able to have many meals out of these chicken enchiladas that we'll eat for the next couple of months. Mike actually had to drive back over to the west side for a meeting, and so I was home alone and decided to make some fermented salsa. So we make enough for the entire winter season, and I had fresh tomatoes. So I made fermented salsa, and then after working with the fermented salsa, I decided I wanted nachos for dinner, and that's what I had. The fermented salsa has all the benefits of eating sauerkraut, but it's salsa, and it lasts in your refrigerator for months. So make sure you check out that video. We will make sure to link that in the description also. You have probably heard me say before that I am not much of a morning person, and I'm way more of a night owl. But I actually woke up before the sun rose to go to a very special event to watch a sunrise hot air balloon festival. So we got to see the balloons rise up in the sky, and then they ended up going and touching the water in the river and going up over the bridge, and it was just a magical experience. I am really trying to build up the stock of freezer meals and ingredients that we have in the freezer. We had ate all of our freezer meals up before we had moved. So on this night, I took the rest of that pork loin that we had made some pork chops out of a couple nights before, and then I put 2 large portions of pork loin into my Instapot, and then I made pulled pork. Now with that pulled pork, I made sure to divide it into containers and then only season with the sauce the portion that we're going to eat that night, because that way I can pull out mini meals of pulled pork and use it a variety of different ways instead of it only having barbecue sauce on it. So I divided up, and then I put barbecue sauce on the portion that we were going to eat for dinner on that night. And I have hamburger buns in the freezer that I was able to pull out and still keep some of those hamburger buns in the freezer for another night. Mike was asking for meatloaf, so I made 1 large meatloaf for dinner, and then I went ahead and put the cooked portions of that away for 2 more dinners. So sometimes I will make it where I put away raw meatloaf, like it's all prepped and ready to go and in the shape of the loaf. But in this case, I ended up cooking all of the meatloaf and then dividing it up into dinner-sized portions and putting it into the freezer. I think I might have to show you a freezer tour video here soon that shows you all of the meals that I've been able to make in just being 3 weeks into living in this house. With this, we had some large baked potatoes that we had with some shredded cheese and some Greek yogurt that we use as sour cream. On this night, we had some fresh green beans that I had cooked in some garlic butter and sauteed those on the stove. And then I had cooked a roast that I ended up shredding up and dividing up for dinner that night, and then for a couple more meals that are also going into the freezer. So every meal that I have been making in these first couple weeks being in the house, I've really been concentrating on trying to batch cook so I can pull things out later. So out of all the meals that I told you about today, I gave you 6 meals that I ended up batch cooking and 2 that were super easy meals, and also 2 that were using seasonal produce to give you an idea of how we're mixing up things with this new season. This is my grocery planner where I keep track of all of the meals that we're making, all the ingredients that we have in the house. I'm even keeping track of how much I'm spending at the grocery store and how often I go to the grocery store, and we're spending money on going for takeout or if it's a special occasion and date night. So all of those things I'm able to keep track of in my planners, and I've been doing this for years. So it's really easy to flip back through them too and see, oh, 3 years ago in the fall, I wanted this for a fall meal, and then I can pull that idea back out. And it's something that I know that my family already likes. I've already started making a list of some of the meals that I want to do after we go grocery shopping again. Beef stroganoff sounds really good, but I don't have any cream cheese right now, and I'd like to add some mushrooms to that. So I put that on my grocery shopping list. So in a couple weeks when I go grocery shopping, I have those ideas. Also, like shepherd's pie or chicken and dumplings sounds really good. So I made sure as I'm thinking about those ideas that I'm writing them down and I don't forget when it's time to actually make the meals. I will say that I do not like to meal plan very much. I do like to have ingredients in my house that are really flexible, and they can vary on my mood, the weather, what my energy levels are, or sometimes how many people are here. So I love that we're closer to family now, and it just means adding a little bit more to the pot to be able to feed my kids again. I do spend time every single day reading your comments and trying to answer your questions. So make sure if you have a question about a meal that I'm making, if you're needing a link or the recipe, ask them in the comments and I am happy to answer them. And if we get enough people asking about a certain meal, I'll remake it and do a video for it. Make sure you're checking out our zero waste produce guide that is linked in the description that goes over 75 produce items A to Z and how I'm able to get them to stay fresh for weeks. So we have a 0 food waste in our house. And then also our meal planners. There's 5 different covers of these to help you save money on groceries. These are linked in the description and there's a special discount code. So make sure you're checking that out. If you're brand new to the channel, make sure that you're hitting subscribe and go find number 1 on this playlist. That way you can see some of the meals that I was making last winter and give you some brand new fresh ideas.